Hey, okay. So we are talking tonight about what's it take to get to 8? What's it take to get to 8? Why does it feel that 8 is a lot when it's not, right? Okay. So I'm speaking to you right now in the last month that the company said that they're going to have this program where it's 8 and in, where you get 8 active team members you could submit for DIQ. December 1st is the last day. Now, who knows if they're going to extend it? So they may extend it, who knows, but who wants to take that chance, right? We want to make sure that November counts, that we work this magical, amazing month of gratitude. And it's a great month for people to start their business. And so I'm going to talk to you about what it takes. Now, I've got 8 points, a few of them longer, some of them super short. And so I want to stay within our little time frame. I am starting a few minutes later than I would have liked, but here we go. Okay, so the number one thing that I will give you is the word commitment. Commitment to actually doing it. When you say that you can translate what I'm going to share with you here is not limited to getting to 8. You can apply this to anything that you want to get out of your business. Okay, so if you have a goal of making an extra $500 a month out of your business and that's all you want and that's really, really what you signed up for, then you can apply this to that very thing. Okay, so the first thing is you need commitment. Commitment to whatever that goal is. And right now we're talking about getting in with 8. So you've got to commit to doing it. Total belief that the total belief towards that goal and the commitment towards that goal, total belief that it'll happen if you put in the effort. Sorry, I couldn't read my typing. I missed a word. So the total belief that if you put in the work, that it will happen. That you know in your mind, you're like, you know what? I know when I put forth this effort, I'm going to go for it because I want this thing and I want it so bad. I'm going to do whatever it takes. Like, have you ever had a goal where you were like, no, I am not doing this. Like, we're doing this. So when you have that, it's very rare that you have someone that actually gets into that do or die mindset. When you do that, it's what it takes. It takes commitment when you set a goal to do something that is going to take more than just your regular routine of what you've always done. It's going to be different. It's going to take you out of your comfort zone. So when we have any kind of hesitancy, or we have a we'll see what happens attitude, or I'll try, then it will not happen. So the first thing I needed to get out of the way is to say, what's it take to get to 8? It takes commitment. It takes commitment towards a goal in order for that goal to happen, meaning that I'm not just going to try, I'm going to do it. And when something doesn't work out, I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to get this done. That's the kind of commitment I'm talking about, okay? It takes belief. Okay, so let's reverse that thought. What would make you think you can't? So what has gotten into your head to make you think that you can't get to 8 by the end of November? Why can't you? Okay, so some of you are throwing out things like, well, I don't have any prospects. I don't have any bookings. Okay, so if there is a logical reason, which means that it's just lack of activity, then you change it. Okay, so let's say you did get the bookings and you did start to have some prospects. Do you believe that if you had the bookings and you had the prospects, that you could do it? Okay, let's just say, because sometimes even if you had the bookings and the prospects, I think some of you still would not get that commitment. And so that's where you have to decide, am I really, really committed? Because if you're committed, you're going to find a way to get the bookings and the prospects. Really, honestly, it's like the chicken, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? The commitment comes first. not the prospects and the bookings. The commitment comes first. Then the prospects and the bookings come. See, we want to just wait and see. And if I get the bookings, then I'll commit. Well, it doesn't work that way. Commitment comes first. See, it takes a concerted effort. I can always tell the effort put in by someone who is not committed to finishing and the person who is. I can tell the difference. Just by the amount of effort they put in, I know how committed they are to finishing. The one who thinks about it in the morning when they wake up and is still thinking about it when they're going to bed, and no is not the end, it's just time to pivot when they get no, that's the person who's committed. When you're thinking about it in the morning, when you wake up, you're like, okay, who can I talk to? Because I'm going to get it. Who else can I talk to? Because this is going to happen. Because this is going to happen. You go to bed, you're thinking, okay, I can't wait to get up in the morning because who am I going to meet tomorrow? Who am I going to meet tomorrow? And that's the mindset of someone who's committed. Okay, so number 2, vision of who you're looking for and why, and you go after it. Vision is not desperate, it's deliberate. Vision is not desperate. You're not desperate. You're not begging. You're not like being unethical to just try to get it done. No. Vision is deliberate, okay? So what that means is that you're proactive versus reactive. So somebody that's desperate is reacting and just trying to manipulate and make things happen because they're reacting to everything that comes at them. And the only way it's going to happen is if I just manipulate it. But somebody who has a vision of where they're going, why they want to be a director, and why they want to get into DIQ, and they know what it looks like, and they're really excited about it, and they're proactive. They're in control of their next effort or who they're going to talk to and where it's going to go. Because you know what? Sometimes, 9 times out of 10, when you're in qualifications, you've got somebody that you're super excited about and she's ready to sign, but she's going, you know what? I'm going to have to wait until next month. And you're like, no, I need you now. But because you have a vision of where you're going and you care about the relationship of the people that are going to be on your team, you don't pressure her or push her. You go, okay, and you trust and believe that someone else is going to fill that gap and you're going to be able to make it happen with that person next month, right? And it's okay because it's still going to happen with or without that person. It's never rested on one individual because you have a vision of what you're building. Proactive people make decisions based on their values. Proactive people make decisions based on their values. Reactive people make decisions based on their emotions. Okay, so how do they feel? How do you feel today? And that determines what you're going to do. You know what? Today was a gray day. It's not an easy day to work. I stayed the course on my task list. The only thing I did not get in was a run, which is not good. But staying the course on this task list took everything I have. But I know what I'm wanting so badly in my core values for my family, for you all, to honor my word. So when somebody has a vision, they're proactive and they make decisions and they work out of their values, not their emotions. Reactive people make decisions based on their emotions, how they feel, their environment, the weather, their social responses, meaning if somebody says no to them or somebody's negative to them or something bad happens in their business or something bad happens in their life, they react and they lose their vision. Well, people who are truly visionaries, things like that happen to them, but they don't react. They are proactive and they filter through and file through the things that happen to them, all the outside forces that is working to get us off track. They don't react. They respond. They're proactive based on their values and their vision. So someone who's deliberate or proactive, they don't wait for something to happen. Somebody who's deliberate or proactive, they're not waiting for something to happen. Again, you guys, you want to get to 8, you know how come it's hard? Is because we're waiting. We're waiting for people to show up. Like, I need bookings. Okay, well, I need to get bookings. I don't have bookings. I don't have prospects. I don't have anyone to call. All right, well then what are you going to do? Be proactive. Don't wait. And so The difference is someone who's deliberate or proactive, they don't wait for something to happen. They take initiative and solve problems. Problems or detours are not the end of their dream. It's a warning or an indication that it's time to pivot. If things aren't happening, you make things happen. If you don't have your appointments, you go find appointments. Oh my gosh, you guys, the first 2 years here in Austin was painstaking. I'm just going to be totally straight up with you. Is that I am not great at just going up and meeting a bunch of people. But I got up, got dressed, went out, and I tried all the crazy things. I mean, you guys saw me hanging door knockers on the neighborhood. I went to, chamber events. I went to, B&I things. I mean, I did all kinds of stuff. But you stay in motion till something clicks, until something sticks, until something happens. And that's someone who's working out of vision, who is deliberate, who is proactive, and knows that just detours and all of that just means it's a warning sign. It means this isn't working. Let me try something else. It means to pivot. And you keep adjusting because you have a vision and no one's going to take it away. Number 3, you begin with the end in mind. This comes from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the one that I just shared with you, Vision, also comes from that book. And so he talks about habits 1 and 2 are being proactive and not reactive, and beginning with the end in mind. And this has stuck with me for years. It's always something that always comes up when I'm looking at my goals and my vision and where I'm going. I always think, okay, begin with the end in mind. I can't look at my circumstances and my situation and make decisions based on that. I have to think, where am I going? How do I want to finish? What do I want that to look like? Not how do I feel today and what do I see today, but ultimately, how do I want to be remembered? Right? Okay, so in order to get to 8, if you have in mind where you're going, you're going to attract the right people. You're going to talk to, you're even going to talk to people. Do you get mad at yourself that you're not even talking to people? You're not even making calls? Well, a lot of times we're not making calls because we don't have the end in mind. We don't know why we're doing this. We don't know where we're going. You don't know what to say. We don't know the vision we want to paint to our prospects. We don't have all that mapped out in our head, so we don't know the end in mind. And so we're winging it. And without that, it's not going to happen. So what do you do when you get up in the morning? What you do should be weighed out by the end of your life even. How do you want to finish your life? How do you want to be remembered? When somebody is speaking, I know it's a kind of a morbid thought, but really at the end of your life, when somebody is speaking at your funeral, what do you want them to say in each area and sector of your life? How did you run your life? Was it based on emotions or vision and values? And every decision what you make in the morning when you get up, this day matters. It counts because it's an accumulating factor. You're where you end up. It's not just one time you make a great decision or you get a strike of good luck. No, it's every single day. We are creating the cumulative factor of where we end up at the end. And so if you're saying, I've had this goal to get into 8 and I don't understand why I'm not there, it's because you aren't valuing every day, that today matters. Who are you going to meet today? Who are you going to talk to today? Who are you going to give your business card to today? Who are you going to call? Where are you going to set up a booth? Where are you going to set up a table? Who are you going to connect with? Who are you going to follow up with? What are you going to do today for that end, which is the 8 by the end of November? I want 8 by the end of November. I want 8 or 10 by the end of December. How am I going to get there? Well, today matters. And who you meet and who you talk to today matters. And it may only be one name and 2 names or 3. You feel like it's not enough. It is every single day. It's accumulation effect. We want everything to happen today, and it happens in over time. See, your goal of building to 8 is the same way as how you think of your life and how you want that to end. You think of the same way as how do you want your goal to end? How do you want this to play out? And when? Without the end in mind, meaning meaning who do you want to work with? When do you want the rewards of leadership? How do you want to lead to make an impact on women's lives? And how do you want this to impact your family? Taking forever to do this, to get to 8, taking forever to do this makes it harder and it distorts our opportunity. And this rings true even if you're just looking to make an extra $500 a month. The longer it takes for you to get it together to make $500 extra a month or to get to 8 is the picture that you're painting to your peers of how hard it is and what our opportunity is. When really deep down, you know you're not putting the effort in to get there. If you can't expect to sell $1,000 in a month without exerting effort door slams, 0 parties, yeses, nos, and then $1,000 week. It's going to happen over the process, but you've got to put in the effort with the end in mind. What's the number? What's the deadline? How many people am I going to talk to today? Thinking that way on a daily basis. Number 4, keeping the big picture in front of you. Don't weigh out every appointment by itself. This is so important. Don't weigh out every appointment by itself. It is the collection of appointments and career chats and events that you have guests at and events that you go to glean and learn. And you go to January Jumpstart, you go to Career Conference. It's accumulation of what you learn at each one of these events because you're a different person every time you go. So you learn different things every single solitary time you go over the course of 28 years. I've learned something different at every single conference because I'm a different person at every one of them. So when you look at one no or one party or even 3 parties, and then you start to say the dramatic words of like, everybody, really doesn't like holding parties. Nobody wants to hold a party. They only want to do facials. Nobody, everybody. Those dramatic words, nobody, everybody. Nobody wants to buy a roll-up or whatever your nobody and everybody is. It's a red flag when someone says that because that's not true. Now, you might find that the majority does once you've done 100 faces. Once you've done 60 faces, maybe you could start to weigh out what's happening here. Do I need to change my clothes? Do I need to change my wording? You can make adjustments along the way. But just to say after 1 party, you know what, I don't know if I can do this. After 2 parties, 3 parties, if you have 0 parties and lots of people saying no, and then you have that over the course of 3, 4, 5 appointments, and then you weigh your whole entire basis of how this business works out of that, how can I be successful then? How are these other people successful? It's because I got all those no's too, and I kept going, and I got better, and I got better, and I started asking the right people, and I started saying it a different way, and I also started realizing that no matter what I say to some people, they're not going to buy anything. No matter how good I am, no matter how slamming my clothes is and how perfect my referral script is, they're not going to give me one single name. Sometimes that's the case. And I'm not going to base my career decisions on that one party of a bunch of slugs or a bunch of cynics. No, I keep going because it's the overarching, culminating results of multiple pieces of activity. Successful people drive hard. They go, 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 and have lots of no's and lots of 0 parties. But they win at the end because they did enough. And what is enough? Enough is until you reach the finish line. So keeping that big picture in mind, how do you do that? Okay, so you track. Tracking is a truth teller. When you track, you can see the truth. You can see the numbers right there, black and white. Not how you feel, not how things made you feel. You felt like you were working a lot. You felt like you did a lot, and really you did 10 faces. So if you really track, and you track over a course of 90 days and then a second set of 90 days, because you're going to learn in the first 90 days and create momentum in the first 90 days, the second set of 90 days. See, a 90-day challenge, when we say 90-day challenge, or you do something 90 days, change a habit, doesn't mean you stop after 90 days. That's just the beginning. As I always say, is the first 90 days, you're creating momentum and you're creating new habits and you're creating skill. After the first 90 days, then you start to apply all that you learn, and that's when you start to see bigger results, quantum leaps. That's when the momentum starts to feed and multiply. That's where you start to see branches coming out. In the beginning, you're creating great skill for yourself so that then you can transfer that skill and you start to see it branch out. And then it gets so exciting when you back it and you do that type of activity for 1 full year without stopping. Oh, gosh, have I seen anyone do that? Not in a long time. Where somebody does that kind of activity where you're doing 30 faces every month for a year and learning from it and then passing on the skill to other people as you learn. But I'm going to tell you, though, that's not the only thing, because some people have done that and they didn't get the results. Let me tell you why as I move on to the next numbers. But let's finish up with the big picture. Number 4, tracking is a truth teller. Tracking for 6 months, like I said, it becomes your secret weapon. You really start to learn what works and you start to pass it on. And then you tweak along the way, just like a plane will tweak its flight pattern. It'll tweak as it goes, has to. That's how you're always going to be tweaking. You're always going to make adjustments to your party, adjustments to the way that you're communicating with people, because things change. Modes of communication change, your circles change, your life changes, the product changes. So all of that, you're always kind of making these little tweaks along the way. But for the most part, when you get down the solid skill of the beauty experience and the career chat, when you start to really get down, that's just repetition and you're only making little tweaks along the way. Exciting stuff. Okay, number 5. How are we doing on time here? Okay, number 5, don't prejudge. Don't prejudge. Okay, I mean, really, don't prejudge. Really. What does that mean? We hear that, don't prejudge. Okay, what does that mean? It's when you don't ask someone to hear about the opportunity or to book a beauty experience because you think they're going to say no. So you ask someone else because you think they're going to say yes. You've prejudged on both accounts. You've assumed that this person was going to say no because of these reasons, and you assume that this one most likely is going to say yes because of these reasons, and you're absolutely wrong. Now, maybe it ends up that you're right where this person says no, but they probably said no, not for the reasons that you thought. And this person may end up saying yes, but they end up being either a dead end or flaky, okay? So this is what happens a lot of times, is that you do that, or you don't ask because you're intimidated by somebody, and you do ask someone else because you want an easy yes. Because you know you could probably recruit her. You know that you could probably, you feel comfortable enough even kind of pushing her a little bit, talking her into it, because you almost kind of feel a little bit, not above her, like you're better, but you do probably feel maybe a bit more confident than she does. And so you could probably get her to do it. Big mistake. Prejudging is disastrous, because when you base your asking someone based on what you think they're going to say, the easy yes is usually the biggest headache of a person. The tough yes is usually the most reliable person. And the reason being is a lot of times when somebody, you feel like you can get them to say yes, they might be running their life on emotions, and just as fast as they said yes, they'll turn around and say no. And then you've got someone who needs to think about it, or you've had to layer her. She tried the product, then she watched the video, and then you did the career chat, and then maybe she thought about it for a minute, and then she said yes. Or maybe you almost didn't ask her, but you got up the courage and you asked her, and she said not now, but then she came back around and said yes later. Those end up being some of the most amazing team members, because they make decisions based on their values. See, we prejudge when somebody is successful, or somebody is confident, or somebody has a great job or great situation at home, or their husband has a great job or whatever. And we think because of that, we shouldn't ask. Those tend to be the people who get what it takes to do this business. They tend to be people who have vision, who base their life decisions on values. And so they look at our opportunity and the way that Mary Kay runs this organization and says, wow, I'm impressed. I want to be a part of it. Even if they're super busy, even if they have an executive position, they say yes. And so we've got to be careful on prejudging and what we're basing our judgment on. Is it based on our own insecurities? Is it based on our own lack of success in the business so far? I remember feeling that way when I was a consultant. I thought it's really hard for me to recruit because I haven't made any money. And I feel like a fake because I'm sharing this opportunity with someone, but yet I'm not making money. Yeah, but what I've done, is that what Gloria Mayfield Banks should base the opportunity on? No, the opportunity is the opportunity. The opportunity stands alone. It is what it is. This is the marketing plan. You do this, you get this. You do this, you get this. So just because I didn't do this to get this and do this to get this doesn't mean that the opportunity is not good and it's not viable and it's not there. So what I quickly changed as I started to get more confident in my values and stopped running my life on emotion, but I started to decide who I am and what I want to, how I want to live my life. That's when it didn't bother me anymore. It didn't bother me to share the opportunity with someone, even though I wasn't making a whole lot of money and I wasn't showing a ton of success driving a Cadillac at the time. I wasn't. But I confidently shared the opportunity because I knew that I was on my way. I was doing the business the right way. And I knew that slowly but surely I was making more money each month. I was actually turning the corner. And each month and each day it got easier and easier to share this opportunity because I was living it. But I wasn't at day one. And we've got to be careful that we're not prejudging based on our own insecurities and our own failures. You can turn that around when you make a decision that I'm going to live my life based on what I believe is right, not based on how I feel or what I've accomplished. So that's where prejudging comes from. So make sure that you're making lists. A lot of you could get 1, 2, 3 new team members this next week if you really actually asked some of the most amazing people in your life. People that don't even necessarily live by you. Family members, people that you've known from afar through family members, through friends, maybe your best friend's cousin, maybe somebody you worked with years ago. Who could you reach out to and say, hey, listen, I know that this seems very random, but I absolutely love what this company stands for. It is so different than anything I've been a part of. I love what they're doing, and I'd love to get your feedback on it because you are such a quality person. I've always admired you from afar, and I would absolutely be honored if you would give me your feedback on our opportunity. I'd love to hear what you think. I don't know if it would ever be something for you, but I still would value your opinion. When you say that to anyone, I can't imagine them saying, absolutely no, I won't watch. I won't give feedback. I can't imagine them saying no. And your job is not to get them to say yes to the opportunity. Your job is to get them to say yes to listen. That's it. No talking them into it, not trying to recruit them on the spot. All you're doing is trying to give them enough reason, build a case that it's worth it for them to listen. That's it. And then allow them to unpack it. Allow them to come up with questions and responses and concerns as we dialogue back and forth on our three-way conversation. Okay, so last 3 things are really quick as I close this out. Number 6, how do you ask? Well, I just told you. How do you ask? You ask sincerely. You ask directly. You're honest at what you're asking them to do. You give them a sincere compliment. You make it brief. Don't stumble over a whole bunch of words and then everything gets lost in all of the, you say it clearly, succinctly, honestly, directly, and you do it with a compliment. You can do that at your individual consultation, at your beauty experience. You could do that on a text. You can call someone and leave it on their machine that maybe you facialed a long time ago. Maybe you've never facialed them and it's somebody that you know from afar. Just say, I'd love to get your feedback. And in the meantime, I'm going to send you a little goodie package. And you can make that goodie package as goodie as you want. It could be a travel size miracle set, or it could be the little packets of the miracle set. It could be a mini eye makeup remover and mascara, whatever. You give them some kind of product in the mail and then you text them the opportunity video. Lastly, or the next point, second to the last, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. Follow up! If you've asked someone, did you ever follow up? Oh my gosh, you can't even imagine how many times I've blown it because I asked them to watch and I never followed up. Or I talked to them about the opportunity. They said they need to think about it. I never followed up. Or I was going to ask someone and I just never got around to it. So follow up, follow up, follow up. If you are going to be courageous enough to ask them to watch the video and you text it to them and you set it up, then you follow up. If they don't respond, then you say to them, have you changed your mind about giving feedback on this video? Or I just learned recently that the best thing to do is give them a question that them answering no is what you want, but when they say no, it kind of gives them this feeling of I'm in control. I have the freedom to say no, which is, did you change your mind about this, about giving feedback on this video? Or is now a bad time to watch the video and give feedback? And then they can say, no, it's not. No, I haven't. No, I haven't. It's okay. Instead of feeling like they have to say, yes, I'll do it. Okay? I know that sounds kind of weird, but write that down. Okay? Follow up, follow up, follow up. And then last but not least is ask the people, the prospects that you have and the people that you're facialing, ask as many as you can close together over a long period of time to get the results that you want quickly. I believe that we could do more. We're capable of doing more. We have the time to do more. We have more resources than we realize, but we settle. We settle for, that was enough. That was good enough. I made 10 calls. I made 10 attempts. I asked a couple of people. That's good enough. I did it. I tried. I did a little Mary Kay today. I asked a couple of people. How many more could you ask if you really pushed yourself because you remembered that the end in mind is you want 8 by the end of November or you want 10 by the end of December? What's your end in mind? And are you going to let up when you think something is good enough? Keep asking a whole bunch of people close together to get the results you want. Those are all the things that I feel have kept people from getting to 8, and or it's what it takes to get to 8. Once you get to 8 and you submit for DIQ, the multiplication power, if you do it the way I just showed you, is sick. And you can build a Cadillac unit like this when you follow those guidelines in the process of getting to 8. So I'm excited for those of you who actually take this, message me and tell me your feedback on this training and that you put it into practice. Thanks so much for jumping on, you guys. Have a great night.